I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a challenge. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro football today, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We welcome you to hour number 3, our third and final live right here on this Thursday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. One final hour to go, and we will preview a ton of Thursday night football. A huge divisional duel tonight in the NFC West between the in-state and familiar foes. The San Francisco 49ers hosting the Los Angeles Rams. Previews of Thursday night football. Prop perspective with TV Tom Vecchio in just a little bit as well. We'll go around the association now outside of the NBA Cup on this Thursday as well. DRS, so much to dive into here in this third and final hour on the Early Line.
It's great stuff. And also keep in mind when you're taking a look at, there's not a lot of college football. We just previewed Army-Navy, which will be wonderful on Saturday. But you start a great NFL week tonight on a Thursday with a really key important game in the NFC West. And also keep in mind, a full slate of games on a Sunday afternoon, something we haven't had for a long time. And then, Ben, we cap it with a dueling doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Now, those games look great. No, they don't. But we still have exciting times in football. And also, as you pointed out, next weekend, it might as well be a holiday weekend at this point. College football playoff Friday night, Saturday, NFL games Thursday, right into Sunday. Fantastic stuff on the way out. So even though football season is on the way out, it's going to go on the way out with a bang, and I love it.
NFL games on Saturday as well next weekend, DRS.
Is that next week?
We've got so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Give me
Don't
the
worry,
games.
they're not calling in the PF.
What are the games? Give me the game. We know the games. What are they?
We certainly know the games. I'll track them down for you right now.
Doesn't
I
sound
believe
like
it's
you know,
the
though.
Here we go. We'll get it. Saturday, the Texans at the Chiefs, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, NBC. The Steelers at the Ravens, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox to go up right against our triple header of college football playoff on campus
it sounds
games.
like there's no CFT next
good.
week. What I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing now. Sounds like there's no CFT
They're not
next
calling
week.
in the heavy hitters for PFT. They got me talking NFL coverage on Pro Football Today with an additional hour leading up to the 1 p.m. start in Kansas City. How about that?
Wait, what? Explain yourself. What do you mean?
So we're doing our normal college football today pregame show. 9 to noon. 9 to noon next Saturday.
Yep.
Preview of the college football playoff. Games start at noon Eastern Time. And then we are doing an additional hour of pregame coverage where you take off the C, you add in a P. It's Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh,
Wow.
Joe Lisi, Ben Stevens. They say if ratings go through the roof, we might have to reevaluate a few things for Sunday.
Yeah, it sounds like I have to run a couple burners at that show on Saturday and say, what's going on here? We're throwing off the mojo. This doesn't look right. This guy doesn't know anything about pro football. How's he talking about at this point? I think there's going to be a couple guys like Joe Smith, X1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with just a little eggshell out there. Remember that? By the way, Twitter, remember we used to have the eggshells out there? They still have those or no? Not anymore. Are they?
I think it's just like a blank. It's like a gray outline of a person.
Yeah.
I do miss the eggshells, though.
Yeah,
different times.
to get back
all
to
right, anyway, let's hear from the people as we get ready for Thursday night football in the start of Week 15. Rams, Niners tonight in Santa Clara. San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. A total, despite it being a short week, is lofty, standing currently at 49.5. What is the best bet for Thursday night football in Northern California? You tell us. It's time for Fade the Public. Now, if we are into fading the public, some interesting results. What is the best bet for Thursday night football at SportsGrid on Twitter? Is it the Niners as the field goal favorite? The Rams catching points in this matchup over that high total of 49.5, or do we stay under on a short week? The overwhelming majority of the public, DRS, backing the Rams as the underdog, getting that full and flat number of a field goal. 44% of the vote, LA as the underdog tonight in Santa Clara.
And also, this is big with the line itself, too, right? I think this might have been a little bit different if that was the 49ers at -2.5 as opposed to 3. So take some of that in. And also, outlets out there, let's just take a look at some of the live numbers. FanDuel Sportsbook, -3, -105. Other places, maybe -2.5. So those numbers might be out there in the field. But that is a key number in a close divisional game on a Thursday night that will play into it. So I see that +3, 44% right now currently. I understand that. But I actually went with the 49ers. Just again, simplicity. If I think the 49ers are going to win, I'll take them to win by the 3 points and or by margin. The one interesting part is we usually have a decisive cutoff on some of these totals. 49.5 is a lot of points, but there are weapons on both sides. But look at the splits. 19% of the public voting for the over, under at 15.1%. So a lot of people taking into notion short work week, banged up teams, so much importance on these games that we look at, because sometimes you can't really equate sports, but you can if that makes sense. The NBA Cup. You see how important those games are, and the NBA teams are taking them seriously, Ben.
Yeah.
We talked about it. One game, 91-90. The other one, 108-100. Well under the total in both of those because of the importance where the defense gets ratcheted up. There is no tomorrow for the 49ers if they lose. They're going to want to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's on offense, moving the football, but maybe not saying now's the time to run the double reverse pass to Deebo Samuel. Let's just keep it a little bit simple. So I do agree with the public, slightly going towards the over because I do think there's points, but also at the same time, if you voted for the under, I can see it as well.
If you are playing the contrarian role tonight, you think the 49ers cover as a favorite at home, or at least they are the right side to back? That flat number of 3, DRS, could be a push on either side, depending on what the public decides to do. And you are thinking under 49.5. It was 48.5 earlier in the week. It is up by a point. If you are taking the trend perspective of this game, it actually makes sense to look at points as well. We just saw the Rams playing the highest scoring game of the season, 86 combined, where it seemed that neither LA's defense nor LA's offense could stop what they were doing. For the defense, that was get a stop. For the Rams, it was scoring, with Matthew Stafford throwing it across the yard to Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and then Kyron Williams adding in multiple rushing scores as well. San Francisco snapping a 3-game slide, putting up 38 points, blowing out the Bears 38-13. The Niners have been booked as a favorite in every game but 2 since the start of last year. Donnie, all 6 wins outright for San Fran this year as the favorite side. They have covered in 5 of 6. In all 5 covers, a game has gone over. San Francisco has scored at least 30 points. When the Rams have won outright as an underdog, 7 games as a dog this year for Los Angeles, 3 outright wins. The only 3 covers for the Rams as a dog as well. All 3 outright victories and thus covers. A total to the over as well. For me, it is hard to bet the under tonight. But if I am fading the idea of a short week in offensive production, then I just stay away. There are certain other ways I would approach scoring. Those guys to hit pay dirt and the quarterbacks to throw for touchdowns. Matthew Stafford over a passing touchdown and a half would be an angle I would look.
Yeah, I think both of the quarterbacks do have success. On the Monday Night Football game, we thought we'd get a lot of points there in the Dome because you're not worried in December about rainy conditions or cold conditions. You do have some elements in the forecast tonight in the 49ers home ballpark here. Rain, 55 to 56% precipitation percentage. So it's probably going to happen. But here's the issue, or non-issue, I should say. It's going to be in the mid-50s, which is not cold. And also, windy conditions that might pop up, not going to be there tonight. Very tame. Yeah. So don't get scared off by, hey, look, it's drizzling out there. You know how that turns out. It's the rain and the cold that you probably worry about as the combination. I don't think we have too many issues tonight if it is a drizzle or a slight rain in the forecast.
And we will talk injury availability for this short week Thursday game later on in this third and final hour. Up next, some hardwood handicaps around the association on the early line.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. We go around the association on this Thursday following two consecutive nights of two games in the NBA Cup in the quarterfinal round, now with semifinals Saturday in Sin City on the horizon. You would think, DRS, after a ton of NBA Cup action the last few weeks, group play nights on Tuesdays and Fridays, a quarterfinal doubleheader day on both Tuesday and Wednesday, that those teams not onto the knockout round, who did not advance past the group stage, a ton of them would play today. No, in fact, only 3 games in the association on this Thursday. A slew, and I mean a ton of games on a Friday in the NBA. Let's start in the NBA with the favorites still, that being the Boston Celtics, who were the favorites to win the NBA Cup, did not advance out of the group stage after the upset to the Atlanta Hawks, who, of course, are on to the semis. But Boston back at home tonight and as a hefty favorite, laying 12.5 points against the Detroit Pistons. What do you like?
Yeah, FanDuel opened up this one as a 14-point favorite for Boston. Now it's trickled down to 12.5, and it's not really overwhelming public favorite on either side. 56% of the tickets coming in at FanDuel here for the side of the Boston Celtics. I tend to go that route if you're just looking at the starting lineup. And also, we always like to use that term rested and ready. The Boston Celtics should be that tonight. Jrue Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis in that lineup tonight. And then we know how deep that bench is and the three-point capabilities that they have. I think the Pistons are a quality team. And it is hard to win in the NBA by double digits or more. But tonight, I'm going to back the Boston Celtics. I'll lay the double digits and figure they win by close to 2 touchdowns.
DRS, in these games this year for the Celtics, they have been booked as a favorite in 23 of 24. They are still 19-5 straight up. They have the second best record in the Eastern Conference, only behind the Cavaliers. Just because they were not thriving in the in-season competition does not mean that Boston is still not the expected Eastern Conference favorite, an NBA champion, to potentially go back-to-back. Again, favorite in 23 of 24. Just 9-14 against the number as the favored side this year. But even more importantly, a double-digit favorite, Donnie, in 13 of the 23 games this year as just the favorite. They are 5-8 against the spread as a double-digit favorite so far this season. Detroit's still figuring things out, even after the dismissal of Monty Williams a season ago. 10-15. If the season ended today, it does not. They would be on the outside looking in of the Eastern Conference play-in tournament, but the 2 teams they would be looking up at, Indiana and Chicago, also 10-15. The Pistons do have a little bit of life in the Eastern Conference. Elsewhere in the Eastern Conference, we've got the Miami Heat hosting the Toronto Raptors tonight. Of course, it's been an interesting week in South Beach, as a lot of trade speculation has been floated around a longtime member of this Heat organization, Jimmy Butler. 10.5-point spread tonight, DRS, in favor of Miami as they welcome in the Raptors. Toronto is not a great team outright, but they have been booked as a favorite basically in every single game this year, and they are keeping games close. Can they stay within this 10.5-point margin tonight in South Florida?
Yeah, I think we might get 3 blowouts tonight here. And also take a look at the home team. You get a little bit of that Miami flu. You know, Toronto probably flew in a day or 2 before. Get to enjoy that South Beach atmosphere, hit a couple clubs. And also, Scotty Barnes not projected to be in the starting lineup. Why? Because he's injured. He's going to be out for several weeks here. Mitchell, Dick, Barrett, Agbaji, and Pirtle in the starting lineup for the Raptors tonight. Hero, Duncan, Butler, Highsmith, and Adebayo is what the anticipation is. I'm interested to see what we get out of Jimmy Butler tonight, too, because is this one of those, I need to showcase that I'm legitimate so I get another team to bite where I want to go? Or is it the Jimmy Butler, we don't necessarily want to overuse you and get you injured so we can't trade you? That's an interesting one if you're looking at it from a prop perspective for me. But I do think Miami Heat probably in the driver's seat, a double-digit win. I'll go with another easy victory like I had with the Boston Celtics earlier.
Again, the Raptors are not a great basketball team outright. They are just 7-18, but they have been booked as a dog in all 25 contests this year, and they are 17-8 against the number. They are one of 2 teams alongside the Nets that have been booked as an underdog 20-plus times this season and have covered more than 65% of their games. Miami has won 3 straight. The Heat now 2 games above 500 at 12-10, and yet might be making some very significant changes to their roster and organization if they do decide to send on Jimmy Butler. Let's go to the Big Easy tonight as well to round out the triple header. The Pels, a home underdog, as you would probably expect, against the Sacramento Kings. That line now 7 in favor of Sacramento on the road in New Orleans. 231.5 is the total. Donnie, are you agreeing with the line movement on the FanDuel Sportsbook?
Yes, I am. And once a month, usually the Pelicans get a victory. I think they already used that up. And by the way, I did pick them last time they took on the Suns at home outright to win that game, and they did. Then they lost by double digits, then lost by the Spurs. They're going to get hammered again tonight because you have one team that's rested and ready, one team that's dead in the water. I agree. That 5.5 to 7, we should be looking at a road victory for the Kings of at least double digits tonight. They're intact in their starting lineup, and you know who's not intact in their starting lineup? It's the Pelicans, and they stink. No juice tonight for them. We're going to go with the Kings.
5-20 is the record for the Pelicans this season. Of course, it has been a dismal year already in New Orleans, even with the acquisition of DeJounte Murray. Zion Williamson has not been healthy. Murray was out for a long time. Brandon Ingram now sidelined indefinitely once again. It's just a disaster. They have been booked as an underdog in 19 of 25 games. They are 8-11 against the spread, a little bit better covering numbers than they are in winning games outright, but it's not been a recipe for success. Sacramento, meanwhile, 12-13 this year, DRS, and we are starting to already see this form very early on this season. In the first month and a half of this NBA campaign, there was about 4 teams that were above 500 in the Eastern Conference. Right now, there are 7 teams above 500 in the Eastern Conference, but you've got everybody else, 8 of the 15, 4 games below 500 or worse. There are only 3 teams that are below 2 games below 500 in the Western Conference. So the Kings only a game below 500, trying to get back to that even number. Right now, they're not even sniffing the play-in tournament because of how deep the Western Conference in this year and how weak the Eastern Conference is this season. From a Thursday night to start Week 15 in the NFL to the marquee matchups on Sunday. Next.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddiers, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Tonight starts week number 15 of this 2024 National Football League regular season. Just 4 weeks remain in the regular season. Every game for a team in the hunt for the postseason has that added on significance in DRS that starts tonight with a huge divisional duel within the NFC West between the Rams and the 49ers, but it continues on Sunday. Maybe some not in division or even in the same conference, but monumental matchups in that marquee window starting at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, including a Game of the Year potential Game of the Year 5, the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills on Sunday in the Motor City. You see the numbers there. We expect this game to be incredible. Low spread between the two, but a very high total. 2.5 points now, once again, in favor of the Lions. Over-under DRS might be our highest of this season if it holds at 54.5. What do you expect for this matchup between two Super Bowl frontrunners in the Motor City on Sunday?
Expect a great game with a lot of playoff implications in both conferences here. Now, also, we just saw the Buffalo Bills go on the road and lose a tough one in a high-scoring battle in a dome against the Los Angeles Rams. So where's this game going to be played? Not in Buffalo in the snow, but in a dome. So expectations should be high that scoring shouldn't be at a premium. We should get a lot of it at that point, and rightfully so at 54.5. But it is interesting, Ben, doing the show yesterday and most of the week, 1.5. Steam hit that line overnight. We now see 2.5. So I'm interested to see where that is by game time. But again, when you're just breaking the game down, you know my affinity for Detroit. I think they're the best team in the NFL, therefore technically in the NFL. I do think they win this game, but sometimes when you take a look at, systems and games and how it works, like if the Buffalo Bills, as dumb as this sounds, would have went on the road last week and knocked off the Rams, like, ooh, this could be a letdown spot for Buffalo because they got that all-important win, and now if they lose this game and it's still in the NFC, it's not that big a deal. You could still chase down Kansas City. Well, now you lost that game on the road. You come into this game and lose 2 in a row, and now it's not just, hey, Ben, let's chase down the Kansas City Chiefs. It's, oh, no, we're the 3rd seed now possibly because right around the corner now is the Pittsburgh Steelers if they can pull out a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. So the ramifications are big, and I don't think we see 3 in this game as a line. But if I like Detroit and like them all year, you're just asking them to win a home football game, and I think they do that.
54.5 is a very lofty number. It will be the 7th game this season that Detroit has played with a total of 50-plus. In the previous 6, they had gone under in 4 of them, but they did go over, of course, last week on a Thursday in a high-scoring game against Green Bay. For Detroit DRS, I want to see how healthy the defense looks by the time we reach Sunday. Lee McNeil, who exited the second half against Green Bay in concussion protocol with the extended time, a full participant at practice earlier this week. Some other guys, though, like Josh Paschal, limited participant. The Lions have been dealing with a litany of injury issues on that side of the football, and we have seen how historically good the Buffalo Bills offense and Josh Allen has looked the last few weeks. You mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-win football team. Philadelphia, 11-win football team. In the race, DRS, of playoff positioning in either conference, 2 huge interconference matchups on Sunday afternoon. This one in state, in the Commonwealth, the Keystone Clash in Philadelphia between the Eagles and the Steelers. Philly at home, 5.5-point favorite. Total stands at just 42 and a hook. Donnie, that seems like a rather large spread in favor of the Birds. Is it too big?
I don't think it is because I think the Eagles are the better team in the matchups in the Eagles' favor. Also, keep in mind the Eagles are at home. But also, George Pickens not at wide receiver, that is a big miss because the Eagles have one of the better young secondaries in football. Now you're relying on guys like Mike Williams still trying to ingrain himself over there. Maybe more on Pat Freiermuth over the middle and a running game in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, which might be center stage. But I got to tell you, FanDuel opened up at the beginning of the week, Ben, at 44.5 as a total in this game. It's dropped to 42.5. I think both of these offenses will be able to move the football this weekend, and I think there's a legitimate chance they could take that down. Cold conditions, yes. About 40 at kickoff, no rain in the forecast, and last week you did see some field goal struggles with Jake Elliott. Shouldn't have that this week. 5 mile an hour or less with windy conditions, so why not? Two, what we think are 2 really good field goal kickers and 2 offenses that should be able to move. Why can't they both approach 20 points and get that total? I think I might be total hunting more than side hunting in this football game.
2 top 5 scoring defenses. Maybe that's why we expect a lower scoring game. But in 6 of the 7 starts that Russell Wilson has made for Pittsburgh, The Steelers have played to the over. Philly on a 9-game win streak. They have gone under in 6 of those 9 wins. Prop perspective for Thursday with TV Tom next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a challenge. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
We welcome you back to this Thursday live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid. It is now time for the prop perspective for the game that begins Week 15 in the NFL. Tonight in Santa Clara, it's the 49ers and the Rams, and thus it is TV Tom Vecchio live right here on this Thursday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. Vecchio, what a pleasure it was to finally, after 3.5 years of being colleagues in some form or another, to meet each other in person at the illustrious SportsGrid holiday party on Tuesday night. What a time, Vecchio. What an absolute time.
It was absolutely fantastic to meet you along with everybody else. Great time, like you said. Yeah, 3.5 years in the making. And I think we are transitioning to the perfect game to come off a great party into a great game for Thursday Night Football. Let's roll.
I think that means that I'll go. All right, I will go because
that was really good, Tom. That was really good.
That was really good, Tom. Vecchio, very solid, very well done. It sets us up perfectly for success. So let's dive right into it. What the numbers are telling you, Vecchio, about how tonight's game will play out between the 49ers and the Rams. San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. That flat number of 3 could turn out to be very, very key. Total slightly up to 49.5 for a short week Thursday night football game with monumental implications for that divisional championship race in the NFC West. So, Vecchio, spread, total, what are you expecting for Thursday night football?
Obviously expecting a close game, as that spread would indicate. I'm on the Rams. I'm also on the under today. A lot of injury questions at, surprise for the 49ers time and time again this year. Missing some key offensive linemen. Isaac Guerendo is apparently good to go. I have some severe doubts about his actual availability tonight. And, realistically, the Rams, they're cruising right now, right? Like they are building with some momentum, and the lack of consistency plus some of the storylines that we have going from the 49ers on offense, I got to be on the Rams on this side in a game ending, let's call it 24-20. Like, I think we are going to be right at that number. I will, again, shade on the under. And if it starts off slow, which I won't be surprised for these two teams, I'm going to be looking to get a middle, over 40, over 41.5, and still be on that under 49.5 as well.
Yeah, short work week this week. We always see it play out. Major playoff implications, specifically there in the NFC West. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? We'll find out, certainly. A little bit of rain in the forecast tonight, Tom. No real windy conditions, and it's not going to be cold weather. But let's take a look at some of those quarterback props. Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford. Last week, Brock Purdy woke up in that offense, very efficient, throws for over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. He's listed at 258.5 with his passing prop for Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford at 244.5. And then both of these guys juiced over 1.5 touchdown passes. Purdy minus 120 and Stafford minus 128. Are you leaning either way to one of these quarterbacks, Tom?
I'm leaning on Purdy, and it's because I have my doubts about Isaac Guerendo. Like, we're getting reports from Schefter that Guerendo plans to play. He's going to play. Like, whatever we get leading up to game time. And ultimately, if he's out, it's going to be Patrick Taylor and Keyshawn Vaughn in the backfield. Like, what are we dealing with? Like, what are the three outcomes, essentially, at least in my mind? Guerendo's good to go. He sees 18 carries for 100-plus yards. Or he's actually not good to go. Or he's actually a decoy out there. Or he goes out there and he actually ends up getting hurt and he can't return. So what does that mean? That means that Purdy has to do more. Like, how much do they really want to be trusting a fourth or fifth string running back with their season, like, not mathematically on the line, but they're approaching that point? So I just want to trust Purdy, who, like you said, really solid last week. So I don't mind the yards for Purdy, but I actually think the attempts are best, because we're going to have to see them move the ball and get that offense going. Like, a fourth or fifth string running back when they're missing two offensive linemen, give me Purdy time and time again.
So, Vecchio, you mentioned on the one side for Isaac Guerendo, limited participant at practice this week in the very limited practices that San Francisco can even hold on a short week. But ESPN's Adam Schefter earlier this morning saying that Guerendo plans to play. What exactly that means, how effective can he be, that remains to be seen. Still his props off the board. Let's go to LA's running back in Kyren Williams. 29 carries, 87 yards, 2 rushing scores on Sunday against Buffalo. First 5 games of the year, Kyren Williams hit pay dirt. Next 4 games, did not score. Now has scored in 3 consecutive for LA. How do you expect the Rams on this short week to utilize Kyren Williams tonight against the 49ers?
He should be, of course, one of those main options. And realistically, when it comes to the Rams offense between Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp, essentially on a week-to-week basis, I expect 2 of the 3 to have big games. Like, 2 of the 3 to have over on their yards, 2 of the 3 to hit their touchdown props, wherever it might be. And finding out those 2, I think, is like the most important thing when it comes to evaluating the Rams offense. So I certainly like Kyren Williams today. Obviously, I'm not laying minus 150 on a touchdown. I'll maybe work him into an SGP, whatever it might be. But Kyren Williams and then Cooper Kupp's going to be number 2 for me today. So I would actually lean towards over 17.5 or 17 rushing attempts for Kyren Williams. That's where I would prefer to be going, especially if there's a little bit of rain. They do get out in front if the 49ers aren't able to run the ball. I would expect Kyren Williams to be number 1 option. And while Puka Nacua is great, I actually prefer the yardage with Cooper Kupp, which we can get to in a few minutes here.
Yeah, let's take a look at those wide receivers, because the pass catcher is certainly going to be instrumental. And a lot of question marks here on who's that official number 1 now for the 49ers. Is it now Juwan Jennings, who is listed at 68.5? You take a look at the Rams here. You would have thought Cooper Kupp would always be the number 1 as long as he's on the team. That's no longer the case. Puka Nacua has been nothing short of spectacular, Tom. He's listed at 88.5 receiving yards tonight to Cooper Kupp's 62.5. And also, the Deebo Samuel scenarios tonight. I want the ball more. We got to get to the football more. Does he score touchdowns? Does he run the football, Tom? Does he catch passes? Give us some looks here from these receiving props.
So for the Rams, absolutely love Kupp over 62.5. He didn't play against the 49ers last year, but historically, Kupp has absolutely torched the 49ers dating back to 2022 and 2021. He went for 122 yards, 79 yards, 122 yards again, and 118. So give me Kupp over 62.5. I don't mind him alting him to 70+ as well. On the Debo side, love Debo for a TD. We'll play the squeaky wheel narrative. I love that. Combined with the Isaac Orendo, question mark, it is what it is. Pat Taylor could be in there, Keyshawn Vaughn, Israel Abanikanda could be seeing some carries. I will take Debo coming out of the backfield potentially for a rushing plus receiving. I do like his touchdown prop at plus 145. But George Kittle, I think, is the answer for the 49ers. If they have this inefficiency running the ball, George Kittle is that safety net for Brock Purdy, and he doesn't have to be that downfield option. He is the moving the chains. Let's pick up some first downs. Let's get this offense moving option. So I love Kupp. I really like the Debo TD, but I think the yards for Kittle are actually the safest, especially if I'm personally not expecting Orendo to be a full go tonight.
Yeah, Vecchio, as you alluded to, Puka Nacua has been that top target for Matthew Stafford when both guys have been on the field. We were wondering if both guys were healthy, playing alongside each other, who would be that number one. Cooper Kupp has still been able to get his. We saw the vision of the Rams offense last week, of course, against the Buffalo Bills. I do want to go back to Deebo Samuel, a guy that has been banged up at times this year and maybe is not 100% fully healthy with how ineffective he has been. But Tom, he's played in 12 games. He has 2 total touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. Why is tonight different? Why is Deebo Samuel going to score against this LA defense?
We can factor in, like I said, the Orendo health, the lack of consistency from their offense overall. But when push comes to shove, Debo is a great option to have the ball in. I would say that Juwan Jennings is a better traditional route runner, like from an actual wide receiver standpoint. But getting Debo the ball is important when, again, their season is approaching being on the line. They need to focus on getting him the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him have 4, 5, 6 carries coming out of the backfield, another 4 or 5 receptions, getting him close to 10, 11 total touches. So the rushing plus receiving and just the utilization he has in the offense, as I've always said, the bubble screens, the jet sweeps, whatever it might be, getting Debo the ball is a good thing for the 49ers offense, and they need that production on offense today.
Make sure you see the Tom's top props right there. Brock Purdy over 30.5 attempts. Cooper Kupp over his receiving yardage number. And Deebo Samuel to hit Pater. He has not since week number 6 of this season, but the total is 49.5 tonight, so offense expected. TV Tom, as always, we appreciate the time. We continue our Thursday Night Football breakdown next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a shout. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set, to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
We continue our Thursday night football preview here to enter Week 15. It starts tonight in Santa Clara. On this Thursday on the early line, it's the 49ers, it's the Rams. We'll start with the game, DRS, and then we'll get to its importance on this short week Thursday in just a moment. Full field goal number in favor of San Francisco, 3-point home favorite. Total for a short week at 49.5. Not like last week when both the Packers and the Lions had a full week of preparation after playing on Thanksgiving. This is a short week. Both teams played on Sunday afternoon in that later window. San Francisco easily dispatching the Chicago Bears. Not as easy for the Rams in a wild back and forth and high-scoring game, but a critical win for Los Angeles against Buffalo at home on Sunday. 3-point spread. 49.5 is that number. How does DRS see Thursday night playing out?
Yeah, both had nice wins last week, a little bit different. Obviously, the 49ers in a blowout victory didn't have to use all that gas in the second half when the Rams were in one of those back and forth games against the Buffalo Bills, which was so much fun to watch. But there are big implications, and I always lean towards the home team on Thursday night. But if we were talking the doc right now, you'd probably be like, yo, crazy? Look at all the banged up injuries for the 49ers going up against the Rams here. But still, some of those keys are in place where I just look to and say, Kyle Shanahan at home, Brock Purdy waking up last week, so many different weapons that they can use, and also the plug-and-play mentality at the running back position. That's the way I look. But we've talked about it quite a bit this morning. 2.5s and 3s, that is a big deal here. So you're looking at, if you are taking the Rams, you figure they probably have to get beat by a touchdown or more for you not to cover here. Now, granted, yes, you can win by 4 or 5 or 6 points, but you get the gist of that. The 49.5s here with a little bit of rain in the forecast on a short week here, we're expecting points, and we should get those. But we've seen it many times. Two teams that know each other, and a game that's of the utmost importance between both of these teams with a little bit of rain in the forecast might be enough to send that south. Because we're not talking, Ben, 39.5, 41.5. It's 49.5. You're expecting teams to get both into the mid-20s here to have a legitimate chance at that. So for me, I'm still going to lean towards the 49ers on Thursday Night Football since they're at home. And yes, the line currently right now at FanDuel is 3. I'll go that direction. Slightly and also towards the over. But again, the props are more of the perspective tonight. However, I would be shocked if we have a low-scoring game. When I say low-scoring, Ben, 21-17. Yeah. I think we're going to be right up against that number. So therefore, theoretically, thinking we get the over.
Yeah, absolutely. So 49.5, now 7 touchdowns, right? If you get to 7 touchdowns, you still could be under by the hook if that is all the scoring that we see. It is a lofty expectation for a short week. No, the Rams are not traveling cross-country or even out of state, but it's a big turnaround for a team that just out-dueled the Buffalo Bills at home in a game that featured 86 combined points. But maybe you watched last week and you said the Rams couldn't stop a nosebleed. The Bills only lost that game because they never got the football back and burned a bad time out late. I do understand it. In fact, DRS, from the trend perspective, both teams kind of sitting where they are from that spread should expect points tonight. San Francisco, a 6-7 football team. Disappointing, of course, based on preseason expectation, but have won outright in all their 6 wins as a favorite. They have covered in 5 of 6. In all 5 covers, the Niners have scored at least 30 points. Games total has gone over. The Rams, an underdog 7 times this season. They are both 3 and 4 straight up and against the spread, meaning when they cover as a dog, they have won outright this year. And that game has gone over in all 3 outright victories for Los Angeles. You can understand the expectation of offense. Now let's get into the prop perspective and let's compare those quarterbacks. You said earlier on you would look first at the yardage for Brock Purdy if you were going to bet the QBs tonight. Does that remain your favorite bet?
It does remain my favorite bet because can Stafford get the 244? Of course he is. He's a great wide receiver. His great wide receivers, and he's a great quarterback. But I just see that, I don't know if we're leaning on the ground game as much as we possibly should for San Francisco with some unknown products in the backfield, which means that's going to be a lot more opportunities for Brock Purdy. Maybe his legs here, Ben. You take a look at his prop number on like 20.5 rushing yards for the quarterback, which could be in play. Specifically, it's a little bit rainy. You make a couple moves here, get out of the pocket. You can get some of those yardage yourself. But I do expect Brock Purdy to be able to light up that secondary that so many teams have done for the Rams. One thing we like about the Rams is they have a couple young athletic defensive linemen to get after the pass rush, but that secondary is susceptible here. So yes, Brock Purdy over 1.5 touchdown passes and Brock Purdy over 258.5. I do think make a good match here for him tonight.
You know what is really interesting as well, DRS? The only rushing yards prop that is available for Thursday night with the questions around Isaac Guerendo for San Francisco is Brock Purdy at 20, now 18.5, dropping just a little bit. It was 20.5 earlier today. It's still a number, though, that Brock Purdy has only gone over 3 times in their last 5 games. It's not like he's consistently over that price. But anytime Josh Allen broke contain on Sunday, he was picking up 18.5 yards in one single run. Now, as we look at the running backs, Kyren Williams is the only guy with a prop out. Isaac Guerendo, again, is expecting to play, plans to play. We'll see if he does. Kyren Williams has scored in 9 of 13 games for the Rams this year. Scored in 5 straight to start the season. Then did not score in 4 in a row. Now has scored in 3 straight. But, of course, tonight, you have to talk to pass catchers when you look at Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp for L.A., George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, and perhaps even Deebo Samuel, DRS, for San Francisco.
Yeah, it's fun to watch this one play out because, again, Jawan Jennings now 69.5. It's like, where did we get to this point? But he is the true number 1 wide receiver in target share and also at actually making a difference in games. But it is one of those where you say, and Tom came on, he might be right on this one. George Kittle, 59.5. What's a bad game tonight for Kittle? He gets into the mid-40s. You're always going to be around that number with legitimate chances you saw last week for him to have a really good game. But the question marks always go around Deebo, that 49.5. Like, once you get some more of the numbers a little bit later, the rushing and receiving numbers come into it. How many carries is Deebo going to get? Also, how many receptions is Deebo going to get? He is going to be a focal point for me, just trying to figure out that recipe that's going to work, where is it right to say he doesn't really run the football anymore, but tonight with running backs down, he's going to get that football in a must-win game. And also keep in mind, if you don't want to wear your guys out, this isn't the game not to do it. You lose. There is no tomorrow for San Francisco. So everybody should be on the table. But again, back to the rushing props for Purdy, down and banged up a little bit on the offensive line. Good pass rush coming in, some rainy conditions. Why not over the 18.5 for him as well? So let's go.
DRS, we will see you next week. Have fun on the money line. Have fun tonight. More on the early line up next.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Those guys, those rookies, the Pacom Daddies, the Jacob Toppins, right? The Tyler Koleks, those young kids. He wants to get them that check. It means a lot to Brunson. And honestly, folks, it's going to mean a lot to this New York Knicks franchise that's never been back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals since 1999.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
the NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. We get you set for Week 15 in the NFL, in offseason in college football, as the coaching carousel continues to spin. And, of course, it is bowl season on the horizon as well. So let's start just to make sure that you understand the significance and what is at stake tonight in Santa Clara between the 49ers and the Rams. You could argue that for any of the 4 teams within the NFC West, their best path to the postseason is by winning the division. Even Seattle at an 8-5 record. Even if the Rams were to come from behind in this division and in the standings right now and get to that mark, could they contend then for a wild card spot? Perhaps, but still, the division is paramount. So a divisional duel on this Thursday to start it off. The Rams at plus 160 to win the NFC West as of this moment. I bet the number about 3 weeks ago at plus 290, like where LA is, but understand the importance of tonight's game. San Francisco's price, despite snapping a 3-game skid last week with a monumental victory over the Chicago Bears, at least a decisive, if not all that monumental victory over the Bears, is still very long. San Francisco sits in last in the standings and still has the longest number at 20-1. Why? Because they are sub 500? Not really. It's the NFC West record for Kyle Shanahan and the Niners that is really the damning thing currently for San Francisco. They are just 1-3 in the division. And all 3 losses, it's not like they were swept by a team, which would also be a hindrance in the tiebreaker. They have lost a game to Arizona, to Seattle, and to LA. That tiebreaker advantage is not going to benefit San Francisco at any point throughout this season. They still have some life, and the optimism would be on the upswing with a huge home victory tonight against LA. But that is why you see the price on the 49ers. A season defined by injuries could be a lost season for San Fran. Expected to be healthier defensively tonight for San Francisco. Talanoa Hufanga might be on his way back. Full participant, no injury designation for tonight. Nick Bosa and Dre Greenlaw, both listed as questionable for this short week Thursday night football game. All right. As we go around the sport of football, of course, the big coaching news yesterday, Bill Belichick not going to be in the NFL, heading to college. The new head coach for North Carolina. We shared Rich Rod is making his way back to West Virginia. That's Rich Rodriguez, now the new head coach, who was the old head coach at West Virginia. Spent 7 years there from 2001 until 2007. How about a familiar face in college football making his way to Sin City? Dan Mullen, former Florida and Mississippi State head coach, is now the new head man in Las Vegas to lead UNLV. Barry Odom, who had 2 very successful years with the Runnin' Rebs, now in West Lafayette at Purdue. Dan Mullen, who has worked as an ESPN analyst the past few years after getting fired from Florida in 2022, is now working at UNLV. And here's the interesting thing about Mullen and why I love this hire for UNLV. He's been a highly successful head coach. 13 years in the SEC, first 9 in Starkville, final 4 in Gainesville, where he led Florida in his first 3 years with the Gators to a New Year's 6 bowl bid and then was canned after being sub 500 in 2021. He still had a ton of success. His overall win percentage is .628. Of FBS active head coaches that still remain active at this point entering next year that have coached for double-digit seasons, Dan Mullen has the 7th best win percentage out of any of those coaches. That really goes to show the consistency and the success that he has had throughout his time in college. Speaking of the college football offseason, it's offseason even for those teams that are about to begin their bowl process, not just the college football playoff. Bowl season begins on Saturday with a game after Army-Navy that should be sensational. As you look at some of the best bowl games that we will see, a rematch of Alabama and Michigan, Rose Bowl game last year, college football playoff semifinal for two teams that were disappointing this season. Alamo Bowl bump, BYU and Colorado. Who might we see for the Buffs? The elusive Pop-Tarts Bowl. Who's going to eat the live mascot? Miami and Iowa State. What a matchup that we have. And the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, Nebraska and Boston College. A Football Friday on the early line tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern.